Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I am George. We're all George. So today I want to cover something very, very, very important. All Bitcoin holders, all crypto holders should pay attention to this. And that is how scarce Bitcoin really is. I'm going to show you guys just how scarce it is and how little you need to own to become a one percenter. A one percenter. That's right. You actually don't need to hold a whole lot. And this is the reason why I believe, and why Michael Saylor, and why so many believe, that Bitcoin is going to go much higher because of the scarcity. It's the hardest asset ever created. It's the apex predator, like some would like to call it. But yeah, I'm going to show you guys exactly. This is a good reminder of why Bitcoin is at where it's at, why you should ignore the media FUD, and why you should continue to hold on. All right, thanks for tuning in. As always, smash up the like, subscribe to the channel. 2 streams every day, 11:30, 8 p.m., 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. So make sure you hit that notification bell and follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Also, I'm on Quora, in case you guys didn't know that. Quora is a Q&A site, so you could check me out there as well. All right, let's do this, guys. Lively crowd once again. Seems like people are antsy. Antsy for me to get started or antsy about the market, I can't tell, but it doesn't matter. You're here. All right, so starting with Bitcoin, we're about 37.8, around 38, so a little bit, just a little bit lower than peak yesterday, which was around 40, 39,000. But overall, Bitcoin is staying strong, relatively speaking, obviously, compared to the recent dips that we have seen before. And you know what? Someone sent me this morning. Look at this. Look at this headline. Bitcoin traders using up to 100 to 1 leverage are driving the wild swings in cryptocurrencies. Guess who started talking about this? Brian Kelly. I don't know if Brian Kelly is a fan of this show. Maybe he's watching what I'm saying, or maybe everyone is. Because I've been talking about leverage trading and leverage traders getting wrecked. And not only are they getting wrecked, they're wrecking the entire market, right? There's a cascading effect when you have one liquidate, another liquidate, another liquidate. You know, it's a lot of selling pressure. And guess who's talking about it? Brian Kelly. And he's talking about it on CNBC. And I've been talking about this for a very, very, very long time. This is one of the ammunition that the whales has in terms of causing mass damage. Right? And liquidations are, I mean, leverage has been around for a while, but it's not as common as it is today. Back in 2017, yeah, you had Bitfinex, BitMEX, but that was about it. Since then, you have every single exchange, even Binance, even KuCoin, of course, Bybit. All these guys are just going crazy with leverage. And retail investors coming in are just not prepared. You know, retail investors come in and think they can outsmart the whales. They can outsmart the market. They need to play catch up, or they need to become a millionaire overnight, whatever the reason. You know, and this is why this is happening. You look at the liquidations. I mean, we had one that was almost 8 billion. 8 billion. That was last week. Here's another one that was close to 10 billion. That was back in April. And then, you know, all the smaller ones, they may seem like they're tame. They're not. This one is a 3.5 billion. Here's a 3.5 billion. Here's a 2 billion, right? So the longs keep getting wrecked. And when I say longs, I'm talking about the long leverage traders, which is why I still say don't do it. Don't do it. But I'm glad that Brian and CNBC is now covering it. If you get liquidated, you can't recover. If you buy Bitcoin at 64,000 and it drops to 30,000, you know what? You haven't lost anything until you sell. There's always a chance it could come back up. And it's not a taxable event by holding either, right? So that's the thing. Holding is definitely, or hodling or hodling is better, is the best way to do it. It's the best way to do it. Don't leverage. Don't invest more than you can afford to lose, right? And not only that, you're helping the entire system. You're helping all the holders out there, okay, by not leveraging, because leveraging not only wrecks yourself, but wrecks everyone else along with it. Well, along with you, I should say. All right. So that's what I want to lead with. Now, looking at, you know what? I don't want to look at that. I want to look at this. The Bitcoin rich list. Bitcoin rich list. This is something I brought up a lot during crypto winter. A lot. Like almost every single week. Because I needed something to showcase or motivate people to stay in the game. And that is how little Bitcoin is actually held by the common people, by retail investors. Yeah, you know, when you're in this space, you kind of figure like, hey, everyone has 1 million Bitcoins, okay? And you see the headlines of companies and Michael Saylor and these guys buying so much Bitcoins, right? But if you actually break it down by the addresses, you'll realize that there is not a lot of people that are holding Bitcoins. And that is a fantastic thing, because that means you could get in and become a 1%er very, very, very easily. Very, very, very easily. Okay, so to prove my point, this is the total number of addresses out there. Last checked, like last time I checked this was like about 22 million addresses. Now, I didn't do an exact count, but it's probably around the 40 million range, okay? Now, if you look at the 40 million range, you got to realize most people in the game have more than one address. 2, 3, 4, 5. I know myself, I have over 10 already. Most people in the game have more than one because just by having a Coinbase account, Gemini account, you have one, right? And then you have, say, a Binance or KuCoin account. That's another one, right? If you're using Crypto.com, you're using Voyager. I mean, most people in the game have at least 3 or 4. Not to mention your mobile wallet, you know, or your ledger. I mean, those addresses count too, right? So there's almost everyone that's been in it for a while has more than one address. So I'm just going to be conservative and say, you know what? Most people have at least 2, average. But I know it's a lot more. So if you take the 40 million addresses and you divide by 2, that's only 20 million. That's only 20 million. 20 million and 20 million out of 8 billion, okay, people out there. That's very, very, very little. Very little. And look at this. Addresses richer than X amount. Okay? Addresses richer than $1 US dollar in terms of Bitcoin is around 33 million. And keep in mind, if you divide that by 2, that means there's really only 16 million people out there. 16 million out of 8 billion that holds at least $1 worth of Bitcoin. That's it. 16 million out of 8 billion. What about if you go up to $100? And I'm looking at down here, guys, in case you're wondering where I'm looking at. What about if it's you're holding $100? Then there's only about 7 million people in the entire world. What about $1,000 worth of Bitcoin? And then you're down to less than 3 million, 2.5 million people. Only 2.5 million people on planet Earth hold $1,000 worth of Bitcoin. And then the list goes down. I mean, the number goes down dramatically. What if you had $10,000? $10,000 worth of Bitcoin. Now you're talking about 900,000 people. 900,000 people out of 8 billion, okay? This is less than 1%. This is like 0.0001%, like something like that. If you have over 100,000, which a lot of you guys do, now there's only 170,000 people on planet Earth. And if you happen to be in the 7 figures, you have $1 million worth of Bitcoin, there's only 40,000 people on the planet Earth. 40,000 people that have that much. And if you have $10 million, there's only about 3,000 people on the planet Earth. So the point of this is there's not that many people that actually hold Bitcoin. If you look at these huge giant wallet addresses, yes, a lot of them hold a lot, but that's because they're Binance or Huobi cold wallets and stuff like that. So yes, they do take a large amount of allocation. But if you filter out all these cold wallets, all these exchanges, and so forth, you realize that the miners, the early miners, they hold a ton of Bitcoin. Satoshi himself or herself or group, they hold a ton of Bitcoin. And of course, a lot of people that got in very early hold a ton of Bitcoin, right? But for everyone else that's entering the game, they don't actually hold a whole lot. Now, if you talk about these guys that entered the game recently, and I'm talking about institutions and public trade companies and hedge funds, investment companies, they're trying to play catch up. They're trying to accumulate as much as possible, and they have accumulated a lot. Within the last 6 months or so, if you add up this list, this is about 1.7, a little bit less than 1.7 million Bitcoins out there, right? And this is a lot within a short amount of time. But again, these wallets and the people that are holding, let's say more than $1 million of Bitcoin, is actually very, very, very tiny if you think about it, especially compared to the population of Earth. You don't even have to do that. You can just compare it to even the population of the country you live in, and then you'll realize that it is very, very, very scarce. There's just not that many. There's not that many, and there's not that many people that hold it too. So it's not too late. It's not too late to get in, because I feel like so many people, especially new people coming in, they're like, you know what? Bitcoin is already this high. I'm not going to make any money. I'm just going to go into altcoins. And yes, you can make a lot of money from altcoins. And yes, I do advise having a diversified portfolio. But you don't want to be ignoring Bitcoin, because you could actually become a 0.1 percenter or 1 percenter or 0.1 percenter with Bitcoin very easily. And with Bitcoin having events, coming up, right? The inflation rate goes down. The set supply is still there. And if you factor in how many have been lost over the years, man, there's just so little. There's just so little out there. There's 89% of the total Bitcoin supply has already been issued. Much of the 18.8 million is already lost. The amount of Bitcoins coming out per day is only 900. The amount of people that's jumping in today well exceeds this, including guys like PayPal and Square and Robinhood, how much they have to buy every single day to replenish, and how much these other, guys that are trying to play catch up, and I'm talking about like the banks and institutions and stuff, they're buying way more than this. Okay, so to summarize, Bitcoin is something that you should not ignore. Even though there's media FUD, even though there's people that's driving FUD, even though there's a lot of FUD out there that's telling you, yeah, Bitcoin's go stay stagnant, or this is the top, or it's gonna go back down, or this and that, right? And yes, there's manipulation, but with all that said, Bitcoin is the scarcest asset that we have ever created, and it's getting more scarce, and it's being bought tremendously behind the scenes that we don't even know about. And there's just not that whole lot. So right now, when you have the opportunity, you want to get in. You want to get in as much as you can, because we know when the supply does this and demand does this, you know what happens to the price? It does this. And that's what we've been seeing with Bitcoin over the last 12 years, right? So I think hopefully this is a good reminder. This is something I used to talk about a lot during crypto winter, because people just didn't really care at that point. But this is what makes me so bullish on Bitcoin. Regardless of the cycle and regardless of the FUD and stuff like that, I know going forward, Bitcoin will go much higher. It will go much higher. Even holding 1 Bitcoin or 0.1 Bitcoin will lead to life-changing wealth, in my opinion, in the future. So don't ignore Bitcoin. Don't ignore Bitcoin. All right, with that said, what else is there? I said a lot there. Here's someone new. I have no idea who this guy is. Nobel Prize winning economist, Robert Shiller. It just so happens his last name is Shiller. Mulls over getting active in Bitcoin market. And this is a person that very well respected professor at Yale University, someone that did not like Bitcoin before. He was not a fan of Bitcoin. And guess what? He's turning the corner, and he's thinking about getting into Bitcoin, because at this point he understands that this is the apex predator. I don't know who invented that. If Pomp or Michael did. I don't know. That's just so funny. It's the alpha dog. It's whatever it is. This is something that you don't want to ignore. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity. And he follows in the footsteps of course, Ray Dalio, who has been neutral, negative towards Bitcoin. And recently he just blurted out he bought Bitcoin too, right? So everyone is converting. Everyone wants a piece. Don't let anyone else fool you into thinking, yeah, it's done, it's over. While everyone is doing that, these big guys keep buying and buying and buying and buying. They know it's here to stay. So follow what the big money or the smart money is doing, right? All right, that's pretty much it. Overall market cap, 1.63 is a little bit lower than yesterday. We were up to about 1.7, and I said yesterday, a lot of discounts, a lot of bargains still to be had, because even though altcoins went up substantially yesterday, they're still way lower from their previous highs, right? So there's still a lot out there, and hopefully you guys have been taking advantage, because when something is down 40, 50, 60, 70%, you know, that's a pretty good buy. It's a pretty good buy, especially when the fundamentals haven't changed. What drove them in the first place is still there. Inflation fears is still there, right? People buying up, companies buying up Bitcoin behind the scenes is still there. Market manipulation is still there. We know that, but none of these things have really changed. Have really changed over the course of the last 2 weeks. The only thing that's changed is a lot of FUD. That's it. A lot of FUD, and we just got to ignore that. We just got to ignore that. All right. Now, before going to Q&A, I do have a new sponsor, Acria Network. This is a project I covered before, and they are Oracle Play. They're trying to compete with Chainlink, and they believe they're better than Chainlink because they're focusing on cross-chain. They're not just on top of Ethereum. They're building themselves to be cross-chain, to be compatible with not only Ethereum, but also Polkadot, but also Cardano, but also Binance Smart Chain, and they're talking with Polygon as well. So they want to be an Oracle that supports not just one chain, but pretty much all the major dominant chains out there. Now, Acria Network is not done. They're still a work in progress, but they have some big news they wanted me to cover recently. Number one is, you can see this, German Innovation Award 21 nominee. So this is a big thing for them. Here we go. Actually, not a nominee. They're actually a winner. My fault. They're actually a winner. They were winner in excellence in business-to-business information technology functional software, right? So I don't know too much about German Innovation Award. Maybe some of you guys are from Germany. It does seem like they invite a lot of tech companies to kind of pitch, and Acria Network was the winner of this category. So that's a pretty big thing. Just covering real quick, they do have a technical specification. It's kind of like their white paper. It's actually really easy to use, but one of the things that they believe is better than what they're developing is better than Chainlink is their reputation system, which is kind of interesting. If you can only be a node if you own that data, and other people can stake in your node. But if you somehow give falsified data, then your reputation goes down, your rewards gets removed, so then people get off of it. So they actually do have some cool stuff that they're working on, and that's very different. Also, they introduced the Oracle Marketplace, so that's kind of cool. It tells you exactly how to be an operator. You could also explore other nodes that you want to stake, right? These are from the data providers. That's pretty cool. And also, this is their new doc. They're document repository. And it talks about how you could use a Acria Network on the following chains: Polkadot, Ethereum, Binance Smart Chain, and Cardano, and everything else revolving around that. How to create your own node, how to stake, and all this good stuff. So that's Acria Network. They're definitely executing. I covered them in February, so now they wanted me to cover again because they do have a lot of new things going on. So check them out. Their URL is in the description of this video. All right, guys, let's do some Q&A. John asks, how much do we need to be a 1%er? Well, according to this, if you add this up, if you own somewhere between 1 to 10 Bitcoins, you would be in a 1%er in terms of the addresses out there. But again, we know addresses does not mean a number of users. I was just being conservative, and I just divide the address by half. Really, I think you should divide it by a third or a fourth, because most people that are in Bitcoin has way more than one address. It's more like 5 or 10 addresses. So if you look at it that way, right, I think it's a guarantee that if you at least have one Bitcoin, you're within the 1%er club within Bitcoin holders, right? But if you compare yourself, let's say you want to be the 1%er compared to the world, man, you just need to hold even, I think even $1 worth of Bitcoin, you're in the 1% of the world, or at least $100. So my Asian math is not kicking in right now, but it doesn't take a whole lot. It doesn't take a whole lot. All right. Is it important to get a nano ledger, or can I cash out and put it in my bank account? Yeah, you can put it in your bank account, but then it's a taxable event, and then if you want to deposit in, there's a delay. So there's downfall to like just withdrawing. You can also keep it on exchange, but exchange is less secure than your hardware wallet. So it's really up to you. Can you look at Neblio? No, I know a Neblio. They're a small, very small project that got pumped up 2017. They're more like a consultant business. They have a blockchain that caters to businesses, and they help businesses utilize it. But they've been a two-man team forever. So I've always said they can't scale. They don't have enough people. They have 2 people working at full-time and 3 part-time people. I just think they're too small. Anti-hero Thailand. Will Ethereum be in the game long-term? Like BTC Cardano will take its place. BTC won't take Ethereum's place. Cardano, on the other hand, a lot of people speculate will. Because Cardano, you could argue, has a ton of network traction, has a ton of followers, yet, smart contracts not even done, although it should be done pretty soon. There are Alonzo testnet, which will introduce smart contracts. If that goes successfully, that's supposed to be deployed soon. It's supposed to be the end of the month. I haven't gotten an update on that. But after that, they're going to deploy, and then there's a whole bunch of dApps that's going to come to it, right? So we'll see. We'll see. Charles is savvy enough to draw in all the dApp makers. Right now, the dApp makers that's coming off Ethereum is going to Binance Smart Chain and like Polygon, right? We haven't really heard of them come to Cardano yet, but they could be. They could be. Is it safe to say wallets are not useful at this point? I don't get that. Why do you say that? Do you think this is a dead cat bounce, or do you think we will be in a clear if we pass 42K? Here's the thing. All the TA people are speculating. They give you two ways the market could go, right? So they can never be wrong. That's why you have guys that'll say exactly as predicted, because they're going to give you one prediction or another. And it could be true that the market does get to these certain points because all the traders, all the bots that are moving the market are looking at these same points. And I'm talking about like Fibonacci levels and stuff like that. But the thing is, what really drives the market up or down? Is it because TA is telling you it's going to go up or down? No. It's the people that are buying and selling. Okay, that's ultimately what drives the market. So is it a dead cat bounce? Well, it depends. It depends on the whales that has caused this FUD and caused people to sell down, whether or not they want to do it again. Because now they have fear in the market, right? But yet just look at what happened yesterday. You had a whole bunch of good news come out of the blue. And that reassured a lot of people, which is why people put money back into the altcoins. So you really don't know. You really don't know what's going to happen. Long term, we know this will continue upwards. Bitcoin altcoins will continue upwards, especially in this 4-year cycle, especially this year that we're in. For short term, we don't know. We don't know. But the thing is, the strategy doesn't change. It doesn't change. You don't want to fall for FUD. Most people are their own worst enemy. Okay? They'll find reasons to sell. Even now, they're trying to find reasons to sell. Okay? But the strategy is the same. Ignore the FUD. Think about why you're in the game. If you're in the game for the right reasons, because you want to invest, you want to make that life-changing wealth, right? If it goes down, so what? Okay, you prepare for that. You have money ready, and then that's a buying opportunity. If it goes up, great, right? But you want to buy low and sell high. If it goes up and goes up and up and up, you know what? You know what to do. Right now, take some profits. Have some cash on the side. So if it goes back down, it's a buying opportunity. So the strategy is the same. And holding and dollar cost averaging, that is the same, right? So that's what I say to that. I don't know if that answered it or not. What do you think about ModeFi? I've never heard of ModeFi before. They're Oracle. So probably not. Probably not. I don't really... I say if you're going to look at an Oracle play, stick with Chainlink because they are the big dog right now. Would you rather put $5 in a Shiba or sit on a cactus? I'd rather sit on a cactus. I don't know anything about this project. I'm going to skip it because the volume is just way too low. So they have no real traction at this point, Austin. Great content. Michael says, great content. You're taking fear and emotion away. That's the name of the game. Diamond Hands, no leverage. ADA, VET, Harmony, Chainlink, ETH. Looking forward to a big run. I am too. It's going to come. But it might take a while. This happened in 2017 also. 2017, there was twice. We had 40% drops. Then Bitcoin stalled for a couple months. And then boom. Okay? Twice it did that. 2013, 80% drop. And then it was like stagnant for like 5 months. And then boom. Okay? And I expect something similar. That toward the end of this year, we're going to see a huge rise, right? But the question is this year different because of the institutions, because the banks, because of the adoption and everything else that's happening? Are we going to see a quicker recovery, right? Or are we going to go sideways a little bit? Only time will tell. What are your thoughts on Polkadot? I think once Parachain gets opened up, I think it's going to be a big thing for them. Just like Cardano's waiting for smart contracts. Polkadot does have smart contracts ready, but they don't have their parachains yet, which should be coming soon. So that could be a big thing for them, a very big thing for them. Michael asks, hey George, if a person just got in crypto last week and accumulated 0.71 around that price, would you consider a good start? I think that's a pretty good start. You're pretty close to 1 Bitcoin. Anytime anyone could get at least 1 Bitcoin is a very, very, very good start. Very good start. I mean, just based on what I showed you guys, okay? There's just really not that many people that hold 1 Bitcoin. Even in the terms of addresses, even in terms of just total number of addresses, not even counting people, just counting addresses. If you have 1 Bitcoin, that's already in the top 2% of addresses. So think about that, right? So even to have 1 Bitcoin, you're close to that 1 percentile just in terms of addresses, which is fantastic. Quantum Works is a winner in the space, has Epic game license for Dribble. Okay, listed on CoinGecko. Okay, Chaka. Do you think we should be a little more worried about USDD? No, that's still not true. That's FUD. Who says USDC is not 100% backed? And who says USDT is not? Just because that one tech guy said it wasn't? That's BS. Now, Tether did have this controversy. And they didn't have one-to-one back because Bitfinex had to take an $800 million loan because it's locked up in some foreign bank. Okay, this is why they were sued by the New York Attorney General's office, and they have proven themselves that they have recovered that, and they are fully backed, and they are being audited quarterly from now on. Right? They just got done with that, so I don't know why people are still focusing on this FUD. It's been ongoing for years, but it got settled not too long ago. Alaric Is that how you say it? Alaric Wilson? What are your true thoughts about Doge? I've been saying it. I don't think it's going to go away. I don't think it's going to drop out of top 10 anymore. Ever since it broke, you know, when it first broke 10 cents and started climbing up, I'm like, the amount of people it takes to support Dogecoin, right? The amount of people it takes to support it at this level, and before it was even lower, is enormous. It's enormous. This is way beyond just pump and dumps, right? So there's a ton of people that really hold Dogecoin, just like you know, there's a ton of people holding Cardano, right? And those people are not going to sell. Even recently, when we had this big dip, 50% dip with Bitcoin, and a lot of these altcoins went down 60, 70%. Did Dogecoin go down 90% or 95%? No, it went down the same as all these other altcoins, which shows you that the amount of people that believe in it and holding it is just as strong as the people holding Cardano, and just as strong as the people holding XRP or Polkadot or Ethereum. And that's telling you something. That's telling you something. Sailors has tutorials about how to live your life by borrowing against your crypto. I was surprised to hear you're against that. Yeah, I'm against it. You know why? You know why? Because a lot of people got margin called recently. That's the reason why. It's not risk-free. It's not risk-free. I think that's what even Michael ignores. Now, Michael has a ton of Bitcoin, so he could keep putting it in, you know, nonstop. He could put in more Bitcoin as collateral if needed. But here's the thing. If you have one Bitcoin, you put it into even BlockFi, who's my sponsor, Nexo, Celsius, anyone else, right? Usually it's like a 2-to-1 ratio. So if you want to borrow $10,000, you got to put in $20,000. But if the underlying asset goes down significantly, more than 50%, you're in trouble, right? Bitcoin obviously didn't go down 50%. A lot of these altcoins did. I had people writing me emails saying, oh, I'm about to get margin called, George. I need your help. I went in, you know, all in on, I forgot what they said, but it was one of these altcoins like Engine or Doge or Cardano, one of those. Okay? And they were getting margin called because these altcoins went down more than 50%. And a lot of them got liquidated. The asset had to be sold to pay off the margin call. That is the reason why. It's not risk-free. It's not risk-free. Yes, you have to have some kind of total disaster for that to happen, but we just kind of did. We just kind of did. That's why if you're going to do it, you still have to be careful. It's not risk-free at all. It's not risk-free at all. Put 3,000. Ashraf says, put $3,000 in BTC back in 2012. Just recently found my private keys. Thank God. Hope to come to Vegas. Well, you should. If you bought in 2012, that's a lot. That's a lot. So congratulations. I bought Venus around 114. Keep buying the dips. So you expect to go over. I think a lot of these altcoins will, and I think Venus is one of them. They're the biggest lending play on Binance Smart Chain. What's your opinion on IDO, specifically Polkastarter? I don't know. I think they're wearing out. There's you know, kind of like ICO days, IDOs right now. A lot of people want to get in. You know, it's just getting into a project that's coming out, and I think it's more the same. It's getting very, very popular. A lot of them like shoot up right afterwards, right? But then they kind of stall out. You know, just like anything else, just like how NFTs were very hot, you know, and then they became oversaturated, and then it started coming down. I think IDOs is going to be the same way. Doesn't mean that these projects are all bad. It's just there's too many coming out with the same theme, and right now all I'm seeing is charity coins and deflationary coins. People are out of ideas, and they know it's hot. So every single pitch these days, it's either a deflationary coin or deflationary plus charity or some kind of AMM, right? That's a copy of Pancake Swap or Sushi Swap or something like that. So can you check out Giro Wallet, the Cardano DeFi play? I bet Rand shilled this, right? That's why a lot of these things I get asked is because Rand just discovers some weird project. Your master key to DeFi. Everly buy, store, send, swap any asset. Okay. Built on Cardano. Okay. Well, there's nothing wrong with it that I could see. What is their, what are they working on? So they just came out. So staking, integration in Cardano, so it's not done yet. There's a lot of stuff that's not done. So this is, I'm assuming this is one of the dApps that is waiting for Goguen to be done, right? Otherwise, they can't utilize smart contracts on there. So, okay. It's on Uniswap. George loved the show. Michael, I did see that. Yeah, that was no surprise. Basically, media can be paid to do anything, right? When these whales want to get in, they drive FUD. That's not uncommon. Even with stocks, you know, people think this is just exclusive to crypto. No, it's easier with crypto because it's so much more speculative and the liquidity is smaller. And you don't have as much regulators looking at things, but it's the same. When these big whales want to get into, let's say, I don't know, you want to get in Coinbase, right? They go drive a lot of fears around Coinbase and Bitcoin. Drops the price, they get in. Same thing with Bitcoin. I showed you guys how Goldman Sachs all of a sudden said Bitcoin's a new investment asset, right? Okay. So you're talking about a bank and JP Morgan and others that possibly would benefit a lot from Bitcoin dropping, because then they could buy a whole lot and put it into their funds and then sell it to their clients. That just makes sense, right? So, I mean, it does not surprise me. It doesn't surprise me at all. Do I have a George coin NFT? No, I have George Geo coins on Rally. I haven't talked about it a lot because I haven't really found a good use case for it. So, but you could check it out. Julian just says, lost 50% of my portfolio with leverage. Sorry to hear that. Better get back in alts or just buy a whole Bitcoin, let it ride. Yeah, I mean, we've all been through it. Most old timers, everyone you talk to, have gone through leverage liquidation. And it's not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling at all, because your hard-earned gains, say for a year or 6 months or 4 months, gets wiped out in an instant, and you can't recover from that. It's not like a 90% drop and then it could come back. No, you're out, right? And unfortunately, people try to make back and they just keep doing it. It sucks, but I found it's much easier, less stressful, and works a lot better just to hold Bitcoin altcoins, especially altcoins. When they start moving, they move just as fast, if not faster, and then even leverage sometimes, right? So, sucks to hear that, but learn from that. Learn from that and get yourself back up. It's not too late. It's definitely not too late. The levels that we're seeing right now is basically the same levels as back in January. So we've basically gone back 4 months. And if you think about that, that is a gift. That's a real gift. For people that got in March and April and said, you know what, I missed out on these gains. No, you haven't. Now we're back to January. So think about that. Most of these altcoins are still down 40, 50, 60% from the recent highs within just a matter of a few weeks. So we have reset, and this is definitely a buying opportunity right now. Matt C says, institutions and whales are desperately trying to gain control of the crypto market. Will do anything. I 100% agree with you. They want your Bitcoin. They don't want you to get rich and leave them in the dust. They're the ones in control right now. They don't want the new Bitcoiners or the new money to take over. They're going to try to FUD. They're going to try to get you to transfer your life-changing wealth to them. You don't want to fall for that. All right, guys, that is it. I'll let you guys go. Overall, today is kind of like a hovering day. I know people are still fearful. People are still thinking it can come back down, and it can. I'm not going to pretend like it won't or it can't. But it could definitely go in the opposite direction too. I talked about options expiration on Friday. The max pain price is at 50,000. Can Bitcoin rally up to 50,000 between now and Friday? Possibly. But the strategy is still the same. Okay? Buy low, sell high, dollar cost average, and HODL. You don't want to get away from that. It works. It works. Just pay attention to what I've been saying. Bitcoin is scarce. The big boys, the big dogs, the big money, smart money, they're buying as much as they can behind the scenes while driving panic to retail investors. And you don't want to fall for that panic. And as long as you don't fear your own self out from selling, then you're going to be fine. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Smash a like, subscribe to the channel, and excuse me, tune in tonight, 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. All right?